Howdy, folks on YouTube.
Got some new numbers the other day, 1,300 and something people, Masaminos, 588 recovered. Makes you wonder how many asymptomatic folks there have been out there. Makes you wonder how many folks have really recovered. The reality is everybody that's had it has recovered or is recovering except for 9. We had an 80-year-old lady pass away the other day at the age of 80. An 80-year-old lady passed away at the age of 74. And tragic loss, don't know her name, not disparaging any one individual, but guess what? 80-year-old people die. Sorry. How many people die every day of heart disease? How many people die every day of cancer, car accidents? We're not calling for a halt to all cars and vehicular travel. The world must move forward, and the U.S. must lead.
Yeah, we need.
Do we need more tests? Here's what the World Health Organization said yesterday. Did you see that video I sent you?
I didn't know.
I sent you content and you didn't read it.
I didn't know it.
They backed it up completely and said, yeah, hey, probably worth letting you folks know that asymptomatic people have an extremely low likelihood of passing the disease on. It was a big deal there for a while that if you're good and you feel healthy, you could still have COVID, and therefore you need to wear a mask so that when you're walking around, you don't give it to anybody. Guess what? If you ain't got symptoms, chances are you're not, quote unquote, contagious. The World Health Organization said that just yesterday. So what they're basically saying, I believe, Ash, is that we should be moving towards herd immunity by getting rid of the masks.
It might be speaking for them a little bit.
You think? Well, I mean, goodness gracious. Whatever I say for the World Health Organization, they've either said or flip-flopped, or they're going to say tomorrow, don't wear a mask, do wear a mask. I mean, they've got Fauci just looking as sincere as Father Time. Wearing a mask is really mostly just to make you feel good. Then later on, he's like, wear a mask. Don't spread the disease. Same sincerity. One of those times, he's just wrong.
Well, there was something interesting that I do want to get to.
I'd like for you to get to something interesting. I'm trying to carry this show, and it's difficult because I'm not that good.
I got to find it now.
I've got affidavits. You had all morning to find that.
I know. Straight off the CDC website, cdc.gov. If you test positive, a positive test result shows you might have antibodies from an infection with the virus that causes COVID-19. However, there's a chance a positive result means you have antibodies from an infection with a virus from the same family of viruses called coronaviruses,
right?
Such as the one that causes the common cold. So I read that and I'm like, well, so if I test positive, doesn't even mean I had COVID.
Might have just had a cold.
Yeah.
I still keep coming back to,
and that's what we're basing our numbers on.
We're all going to get it. And the fact,
I agree, and I've said this everybody that's been, well, we got to get it to zero. It's never getting to zero. If this thing is here and we're worried about it, the only way the numbers can go is this way till we get 7.8 billion people that have had it, right? Because the vaccine has been coming and then it's not coming, and we might have it in a year. We might have it in 3 years.
But here's the deal. Simple math. Irrefutable math evidence is, if back when we had, pick a number, 300 positive cases that we knew of, and we had 8 people who had died, 8. Couple questionables, couple that weren't here, but 8 people, that was our official death toll. Now, relative to that, we've got 4 or 5 times that many. We've got almost 600 people who have, quote unquote, recovered. And now we have 9 deaths. What that tells me is early on, we missed thousands of people that had it. We missed them because now we've had 1,300 new cases in like the last 2 weeks and 1 death. Don't talk to me about lag time and later on the hospitals are all going to fill up. Don't give me all that garbage. It ain't happening. The reality is we probably had 5,000 people with the virus who were in denial, too ashamed, didn't want to tell anybody, didn't have symptoms, and 8 people died. We've added 1,400 more, and 1 person died.
Well, you bring up an interesting point.
I try to.
Well, How many people who have it or have been exposed to it even want to admit that?
Right.
Given some of the shame that comes along on social media.
The scarlet letter.
Kind of.
Of the C on your forehead. Now, I could have that tattooed and it would make sense. Or a K for Kalishnikov, which I may need
in another life.
You know, you and I are so steadfast in our conservatism and our beliefs that if somebody walked in today and said, "You're either part of the party or you're not," I would say, "Aye, comrade."
Well, see, they'd only be asking you that question because I've been part of the party from day one.
See you at the book burning, comrade. I'll be there. I'll bring the vodka.
Organized by the Democratic Party of America.
Exactly. Oh, Mount Rushmore, it's got to go.
Barbie Mickish, good morning to you. David Glass. Chris Conrad, good morning. H.R. Mallory. Judge Posey.
Hello, Judge. Did we miss you yesterday? Were you not in? Not that you can't miss a day once in a while, but it's just not like you. Want to make sure you're doing well, sir.
Christina Wise, good morning. H.R. Mallory, Patrick Strauss, Matt Boucher, Bobby Leister.
I sent Boucher a picture last night. I did not get a response.
Karen Webb, good morning. Bobby Leister, we're up to 67 YouTube subscribers. So we went from 66 to 65, then we added 2. So addition by subtraction.
Texas two-step.
Exactly.
1 step back and 2 steps forward.
Well, that we're huge in Toronto this morning. Heather Monroe, good morning.
Hello, Heather Monroe.
Turn it up real loud, Heather. Let's kind of, parts of Toronto will start on fire just from this show playing.
And in Canadian, Monroe's just M-U-N-R-O. That makes sense, doesn't it? Down here, it's M-O-N-R-O-E.
I knew some M-U-N-R-O-Es.
M-O-U-S-E.
But it's interesting. They get rid of an E, but we'll add a U to every
sure.
Words like color, favorite,
sure.
Honor, humor.
Yeah. Aluminium.
Yep. Well, that's
just a mispronunciation. Yeah. They don't even spell it aluminium. They just spell it aluminum, but they call it aluminium.
Yeah, that's the English.
Best and brightest going to World War II.
Marty Stockbauer, Scott Snow, good morning.
Hi, Marty.
Slice, Clayton Meyer, Monica Joes, BJ Nelson says, thank you, Dr. Carter.
I'm here for you.
Scott Tomko. Iceman is in. Lisa Poole. Mike Blosky, Heather Monroe says they had 0 cases here in Ontario yesterday. That's just because there's a lag in testing.
Yeah, there's just
and results.
That's the government lying to you, Heather. Come south. Come south, Heather. Come hither, Heather.
Jim O'Day says the numbers are crap. Slice, stop reporting from them every day. It gives fuel to the fire. Stay safe. Wash your hands thoroughly. Don't pick your nose. Keep your fingers out of your eyes and mouth. Don't cough on grandma.
I'm drawing the line. If I can't pick my nose, especially, you ever see that guy in his car thinks he's like invisible, digging in there.
His windows are dark and they're not dark enough.
He's like 2 knuckles deep in there. He thinks he can just pull that off like nobody's going to see it.
But I'll be honest, in winter when things get dry,
get a little crusty.
Yeah.
Do you get up in there?
Once in a while.
You know, the worst thing about facial hair is like if it's windy and cold outside,
it blows up,
and you get like a little bit of that. It's just drool almost. It's like nose condensation.
Yeah.
And it gets on there and then it flakies out and that's not a good look.
I used to always laugh at the guys in the winter that back home, all the condensation, they'd have like a frost beard because it was just
right.
But I didn't have
steel gray.
Yeah, I didn't have a beard back then, so.
Well, you were only 7.
Yeah, I couldn't grow one. Christina Wise says even with a vaccine for flu, it doesn't cover all strains.
This medical moment brought to you by Christina Wise, RN.
Chris Conrad says, good morning to you, Chris. I wonder if we could develop herd immunity faster than a vaccine, more effective, but less sexy and less of a money generator.
No doubt.
Well, you raised some questions. Well, it's funny because for years you talk about herd immunity, and then on the back end of this, there's people been trying to push that, well, the herd immunity doesn't exist.
Yeah, that's a lie. And didn't you give me the numbers that said it's not like everybody has to have it to have herd immunity? It's almost like that deal, where you've got 20 people in a classroom. The odds are that mathematically that two of them share a birthday. I don't know why that is. It seems to me you'd need 365 people in a bit, 366, because everybody could have their own birthday, but it doesn't work that way mathematically.
The conjoined twins in the back corner.
There you go. But you and your brother in the short bus.
Exactly.
I bet on this bus right here, there's two guys with the same birthday. Anyway, apparently herd immunity can come in the form of the virus ends up with nowhere to go because enough people have it that it's got nowhere to go.
Yeah, and the others are healthy enough that it doesn't bother them.
But here's where I'm at, Ash. I'm convinced this just isn't going away. It's not going away. There's not going to be a second wave. There's never going to be an end to the first wave. We just keep counting and testing and recovering and occasionally dying. And guess what? We call that life. We call that life. Are we waiting for the second wave of cancer? Or is this still just a continuation of the first wave? I know it's different. Cancer is not contagious. I'm trying to get your head around the idea that this ain't going away. Ever. It's never going away. And I'm not going to wear a mask forever because Mayor McCoy's worried about the virus. Because it's politically correct for everybody to be scared to death all the time.
And then yesterday, eased some of the restrictions that were obviously only in place for July 4th.
Wow. Can the judge, could he come in with anything any better? I was here. You ignored me. Wow. Yes. Yeah. It's that. You're right, sir. It's that by not glorifying you, it was a malicious attack upon you. I love how you play into our sensitivities about the victim status of most Americans. Thank you, sir.
The Iceman says he's convinced he and the wife had it in January. Both were sick, had most of the symptoms, chalked it up to the common flu.
There's David Brogger checking in. Good morning, brother. I hope you're doing well. I was here. You ignored me.
That's funny.
That's very funny.
That is good.
Oh, goodness.
Michael Jolly checking in. Steve Kidder, good morning. He says you dissed the judge yesterday.
Now Steve Kidder says you dissed the judge. Come on, Steven.
Callie Fromme, good morning.
Or is it Stephanie? We haven't decided.
No, not this morning.
He's got the hair. He could go like a kind of a butchy. He could be like Butch. We could get him a different set of glasses, maybe something like a little point cat glasses. Shave him a little bit, clean him up, maybe a loofah, maybe a little exfoliant, and then put him in some pumps. He's got good legs. Steve Kidder's a runner.
Yeah, he can.
He's got good legs.
I bet you can run in heels. So.
And Lord knows he can handle a cocktail glass. I mean, it doesn't have to be a long neck. He could just do like a martini glass.
Could just be a little highball glass.
Yeah. And he would look like a very sophisticated, kind of little semi-butch, very educated woman.
There's my beautiful wife, Cheryl. Good morning. BJ Nelson says that's not the worst thing about facial hair. Going back to your facial hair.
I'm sorry, BJ. There's Folk and Trey Molina. I'm throwing down
Torn Bales. Good morning. Brent Anderson.
Throwing down a challenge right now for Funky Trey Molina. Right now. Throwing it down live on the air. This Friday or next Monday or Tuesday. This Friday.
Or all three.
Monday or Tuesday or all three, depending on how Friday goes. You, Funky Trey Molina, and JP Hull, tandem co-host. You two guys added together weigh about as much as me. You're coming in for co-host duties with Ash.
I like how I have no say in this.
No. Somebody's got to be in charge, and today it's me. Now, you know that Tuesday's my
day off. So.
Tuesday and Thursday are my days to be in charge. I feel responsible for finding the co-host.
Yeah, you should.
I'm doing everything I can to keep Caleb Shaw out of here because the court of popular demand really wants me out and him in.
He's on vacation and out of.
Oh, you've already checked.
Out of state.
He's already checked, folks. He's already checked. Good morning, Sheriff Louderback. Hope you're doing well, my friend.
Chris Conrad says we need to get over COVID so we can prepare for China's next gift, the bubonic plague. Yeah, we talked a little bit about that yesterday. And
saw something this morning in today's Advocate. Yes, I looked at it. I'm sorry. You can't unsee certain things, but most headlines were spelled correctly. Brent Anderson checking in, and with you here and me here. A good time to mention a very good friend of ours, Chuck Seaman, passed away last week. And just something another thing that the three of us have in common. Chuck played some high school football here in Victoria, went on and played a lot of rugby. And
got me involved with the Kronks when I first moved to town and met him and his wife at the time, Belinda. And they showed us Victoria, and they were very welcoming and appreciate his friendship. And,
he'll be missed.
He will be missed.
Good guy, great. Many of you knew Chuck. A lot of medical sales and just a long time in Victoria. It hurts. It hurts when you look at an obituary and you see that he was born April of 62, and I was born in September of 62. Yeah. Makes you stop and look.
See, and I never thought he was as old as you.
Thank you. Well, he was more fit. Steve Kidder says, please ignore me. Yeah. Okay, well, Butch.
After that, I would hope you ignored him too.
Okay, Stephanie.
Sheriff Louderback, good morning. Heather Monroe says starting Friday, it's mandatory that we wear masks in Ontario.
Who's telling you?
So you just got to 0. You had no cases. Isn't it? Aren't you a little late?
Yeah.
To the mask party? No, probably.
Speaking moistly.
I'd guess it's either the mayor of Toronto, who I don't even know who the mayor of Toronto is. Is it John Tory? I don't know.
Toronto.
It's not Doug Ford because he's the premier of Ontario now. I don't think he's the one.
It's not Doug Flutie.
Which Ford is it? Doug? Is Doug the premier? Heather, help me out here. Or Rob. I can't remember which one it is.
Is it one of the Fords like the Ford family?
No.
I thought maybe they went up there and bought Toronto.
One of them was the mayor. Maybe it was him. No, I think his brother was the mayor of Toronto that was on Letterman and all those talk shows for a while. Iceman says the beard and whiskey have honestly saved him from becoming reinfected.
Yeah, you just swill and just get it all over your. It's like a built-in bourbon mask.
It's a filter. Crystal Stringham, good morning. Chris Jansen, Miranda Tunchez.
You're pretty good on Tunchez. Sky Sanchez.
Doug Ford, thank you. Okay. Rob was a brother that had passed away.
Doug Ford, I thought he was a light shooting. No, that was Phil Ford. That was a light shooting point guard.
BJ Nelson says maybe if you had a female, the YouTube followers might increase. Just saying. Well, we'll look for one, BJ, and let you know.
BJ, Ash's comments do not reflect those necessarily of my own, and we appreciate your sponsorship.
Just well playing it.
That's a great time to tell you about White Trash Services, 550-1826. If you have trash needs in the 6-county region now, including Rockport, Ingleside, down in that area, you've got White Trash Services, Holiday Beach. I just made up Ingleside. I just did. I can. Right, it's live radio. 550-1826. You need a roll-off dumpster. Yeah, fake news. I mean, just let us join the group. They've got it all. Big trucks, little trucks. I was coming in from Corpus yesterday and was on the loop, 445, and one of the white trash trucks was coming in. What I like about it is the driver was in the right-hand lane. He needed to get over to make a left, and I might have been traveling at a rapid rate of speed.
Might have.
He put on a blinker. I slowed, let him cross, left his blinker on. He waved at me as I went by. I had no idea that I was going to talk nice about him this morning.
Very nice of you to let him by.
Courteous drivers. White Trash Services, great folks. Call today, 550-1826, and get a hold of a person. Now, when White Trash Services has a vehicle problem, Allen's Wrecker Service. 578-6300, that's the number they dial.
And that's the number you need to dial to get your little truck, big truck, mid-size car, compact car, SUV.
Absolutely.
Motorcycle, whatever you drive.
They'll help you clear an accident. They'll help you stay safe. They'll help you secure your vehicle and get it to where it needs to be. 578-6300. SCT Building Systems.
564-8864. That's the number to give a call to get a hold of either Casey or Clayton Held.
You know, we say these numbers every day. I mean, I don't know why I remember that it's 800-273-8255. That's the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. I just remember these numbers. People will call me and go, hey, what was that number for White Trash Services? I say 550-1826. They hang up. Happens all the time. No kidding. I hate that.
564-8864.
Clayton and Casey help.
Give them a call for all your building needs.
If you don't have a security system right now, you're a sitting duck. The long pause that makes you think about what I said. Wish it would have been more poignant. Reach out to the VCS companies.
I feel pretty good with 10 dogs.
Right.
And a couple of guns.
And again, that's because watermelons have no bones. Joe Biden, 2020. Reach out to the VCS companies and let them come out. They'll install 1080p color cameras. We can see our entire cul-de-sac. We can zoom in on individual license plates. It's a phenomenal system. It's not expensive. They'll come out. They'll give you sage advice. I was like, do I need one more thing over here? No, sir. This one will pick that up. You don't need another one. They don't sell you more than you need. They monitor what they sell. And they back it up with great service, and they do it right the first time. Reach out to the VCS companies today for all your surveillance and security needs. There you go.
Heather Monroe says in Ontario they're only at phase 2 of reopening things up, and I don't have reference to what that, or level 2. I don't have reference to what that is and where restaurants are.
I heard somebody the other day say we had just gotten to level 4, and then we went right back to level 3, and I went, well, I think we're still stuck at level 2.
Yeah, I think we are.
And
well, but I know. I mean, I saw pictures. People were still out and about in Ontario, so I don't know.
We're just very reactive in this city. I was in Corpus yesterday, and Corpus is a broke town, man. I mean, they're starting to boom now, but they're pouring concrete streets everywhere you look.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just renovating their city. That's how you get business to come here. That's how you get business to come here. Invest in your city.
Relocate Corpus to Victoria?
Hopefully not. No, Trey Molina, what did Trey Molina say up there above? Because it looked like it was like a little paragraph, probably an excuse for not coming to do the show.
We're getting too far up.
No, he was there.
No,
it was there. Oh, yeah, it was there. There was a note from Funky Trey Molina. Don't make him send it again.
Larry Leahy checking in. Heather Monroe, Kanye West 2020.
Yeah, where's the end game on that? Everybody will admit that Kanye West is not going to win.
Steve Kidder says to confuse the Dems. I think the Dems.
You think he pulls enough votes to?
No, I don't think he does. I think the Dems they've long disowned and dismissed Kanye West. The minute he was first spotted at Trump Towers,
and then had a magazine
prior to even inauguration of President Trump in 2016, right? Didn't they meet in Trump Towers?
I think so. Kanye has too much money to be a Democrat. He ain't no Democrat.
No, that's true. Speaking of too much money, how about Patrick Mahomes' contract?
How about that segue?
500 million and change?
Yeah. 10 years, 500 years. Average is up to 50.3. It was 503. $50.3 million a year, 140 million guaranteed.
So 14 a year guaranteed. Which puts him more in line, on average, 14 million a year guaranteed, which puts him on line with a little bit better than the highest paid hockey players and still well below NBA players.
So as I understand that though, Ash, he's got a $503 million contract. So if tomorrow in practice
keeps going up every day.
But if tomorrow in practice suffers a career-ending hip injury, they owe him $140 million. That's how I see it. He's
I wonder
though. For life money, Then they would spread that out. We'll give you $10 million a year for the next 14 years. In which case, he'd be 39 years old.
It makes you wonder, right? What clause is in there if you have an injury? Do you only give you half, or is it sort of prorated based on the number of years that you perform? Let's say that happens. Would he get all 140 guaranteed, or would they say, "Well, you're injured, we give you 70"?
I think
insurance picks it up.
And the club may not be on the hook. They may have laid some of that off. But I go back to remember when Tony Romo signed like $100 and something million contract, and $67 million of it was guaranteed money. That meant he's only making $10 million this year, but if he were to get hurt, they owe him another 57 because that's guaranteed. That's his security money. I think I'm pretty secure at $140. $140 million?
Yeah.
I mean, I might be like, oh, that hangnail is terminal. I'm tired of getting hit. People have asked, what impact does this have on Dak Prescott?
I say
very little.
Yeah, that was obviously the very quick response in all of Texas, right?
Yeah. What does it do for Dak? What does it do for Dak?
Unfortunately, what it does is it raises the price tag on every mediocre quarterback in the NFL and devalues Patrick Mahomes from this day forward.
Yeah, there's no doubt, because somebody else is going to get close to that money. The thing that gets me is, let's just say that Kyler Murray has a great season. See, Patrick Mahomes was only in the last year coming up of his rookie contract. He was only scheduled to make $825,000. Instead,
and didn't complain.
$50 million.
Had been to an AFC Championship game,
had won a Super Bowl,
and wasn't complaining about his contract and the status and the money and not being paid enough.
He was visiting children in local hospitals. He was promoting the Kansas City Chiefs. He's becoming an integral part of Kansas City as a community. Clark Hunt said, hey, look, this kid is who we want as the face of this franchise going forward, and we're going to continue. By putting this much money into the game, it shows you that we're going to continue to surround him with players that allow us to compete for championships. They're doing it the right way. The Cowboys have the greatest offensive line in football. They've got Ezekiel Elliott, who, with maybe the exception of Saquon Barkley and one other running back, Zeke's as good as they get. They've got the best receiving core in football, period. Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb's going to fit right in.
Yeah, no, I agree.
They got the best receivers in football. Their defense is kind of meh. Their defense is kind of 8-8 football. So because Dak and the offense are so good, they may go 10-6. They're an 8-8 team that may go 10-6. Why you want to pay Dak $50 million for that? I can go 10-6 without him. I can go 10-6 without Dak.
You can go 6-10 without Dak and still make the same kind of money.
That's right. And Jerry Jones is absolutely all about the money.
The Dallas Cowboys, and this is for the Canadian audience, except for the fact that Cowboys have won championships more recently, the Dallas Cowboys have turned into the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah, 25 years ago they won a championship.
Well, the Leafs haven't won one since '67, but when you make so much money and you sell out every game, and your merchandise sales
through the roof by far.
And this is where the comparison still, it doesn't fall off the rails. These tracks run parallel for the Leafs and the Cowboys.
Marketable mediocrity. That's what you call it.
You're in a large market. You're in probably the most recognizable NFL market.
Certainly the most recognized NFL brand.
Yeah, you're in the largest city in Canada. Probably the most recognizable franchise in the NHL, arguably with the Montreal Canadiens.
And the Cowboys are in the glitzy capital of Texas. They're in the chic, the New York of Texas, if you will. Let me tell you this. Right? I like it. I like what I'm seeing right here, though. No kidding. You've got Patrick Strauss. I'm done with the NFL. Can't wait for college football. You can go up Jimbo Slice. We're not watching the NFL again. I have no problem with that.
Peter McNally is great Red Raider.
I agree, Pete. And I'll tell you something. He's done a great job of being a good citizen, as has Prescott. I'm not comparing the two. No. I'm just saying that Mahomes has 108 lifetime quarterback rating, and is a guy who, last year threw pick a number, 38 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. I mean,
and he won a Super
Bowl. And he came from behind. And he had a dislocated knee and came back and won 6 straight.
Chris Conrad says it should do nothing for Dak until he wins a Super Bowl. I agree, but it won't.
That's right. Because they take the average and that raises the franchise. If he's the franchise guy next year, he'll make $38 million. And the year after that, he's already slated to make $50 million.
And he's making $34 this year as the franchise guy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that tends to be your starting point, I guess, if you're going to try to move on.
I agreed he was worth more than $300,000 or whatever he was making, but I'm not sure he's worth any more than $34 million. And by the way, if Mahomes is worth 50, Dak ain't worth any more than 34.
Johnny Houghton asked, do you have to be willed season tickets like Toronto? With the Cowboys, I think you're pretty close.
Still get them, but it's pretty close.
Yeah, you're going to be standing room only, I think, for Cowboys season tickets.
Well, our friends Leonida Caballero over at Veracruz, which is where you should go today for lunch on Pre-Caldo Tuesday. Enchilada casserole. They do that bistec. They do that steak that's tossed in peppers and it's really hot and spicy. It's great. You need a nap afterwards. They serve you so much. But the flour tortillas, the queso, the hot sauce, the guac, it's all the best in town. Get by Veracruz today for lunch and you'll be glad you did. But Lee and Ida, they got tickets. And most years they have an opportunity to upgrade. You know, you're only paying X for a ticket. We can move you 2 sections closer to the 50 and up 2 rows. It's a better seat for X plus $100 a game or whatever. So they have those opportunities. But a guy coming in off the street can't just go buy that seat.
No, they give it to those who have been there.
Yes,
the
sir.
difference is, you know, you got 20,000 people in Toronto per game. That's it.
Oh, see, and the Cowboys do 100,000.
But you've only got 8 games compared.
You know where the Cowboys make some bank? I think it cost almost, pick a number, $100 to park a car out there.
Yeah.
Like, no kidding, like $60.
There's no parking around there.
It's a ton. Jim
There'll
Harbaugh
be a lot more when they raise Globe Life Stadium or whatever. When
the baseball team's done. Did you see that where Mr. Hartman checked?
I did not see that.
You have to give him some love when he checks in. It's in his contract.
Paul Ebner checking in. Checking to Veracruz today for lunch, folks.
Absolutely. Today's a great day to call John Paul Hull at Razor IT Solutions. He can help you study your analytics on your webpage. He can help you keep people out of your website. He can help people pay you.
He can keep those out you don't want in, and he can help those in you want in.
There you go. Sorry. JP Hull, Razor IT Solutions. Plus, he can help you understand those that were in, and he can understand you from whence they came, those that you kept out.
There you go.
There you have it. Razor.
I'm almost confused now.
Absolutely. So don't be confused. Go sit in a brand new Best Furniture Company recliner.
From Chesnick Furniture Company.
116 West Juan Lynn, the corner of Juan Lynn and Bridge. Been there 70 years. 100 years in business.
If you know where the police station is, you know where Chesnick's is.
Yep. When you come out in the morning, I had a long night. Better check in over there at Chesnick.
If I had a more comfortable recliner to pass out in.
Oh, when you're going out.
Exactly.
I drive better when I drink. Sure you do. Stay home. Sit in your new Chesnick recliner. You'll be glad you did. What else you got?
The Atzenhower dealerships.
Oh,
since 1926, they've been selling Victoria Chevrolets. Since then, they've added Cadillac, Mitsubishi, Mazda.
All
the
kinds
stable
of
grows.
gently pre-owned vehicles.
Service, paint and body
shop.
They can do it all.
They do it all. Inspections, still $7.
I ran into Daryl Smith at the Generals game.
You know, I don't understand that deal. Is that like I'm being sincere. Is that like a community penance? Why does a car dealer, that's $7? I mean, seriously.
It goes to the state.
How does
and then they get the other $7. And then they get the other $7 from the county. That was the fallacy a few years ago. They didn't change the $14 inspection fee. They just split it up so it doesn't seem like you're paying $14. I say get rid of the inspection fee.
It's worth $1.20 a month. You know, I think that driving is a privilege. I think that especially now that we have Uber and public transportation and all that, driving is a privilege. It's not a right. You don't have a right to drive a vehicle on our streets.
Never did.
Right. It's a privilege.
But some of the goofy things with inspections. You don't need a windshield, but if your windshield wipers work, you'll pass.
Right.
Seriously.
I've got new wipers, but the motor doesn't work.
Yeah.
On the old Blazer.
Well, then you won't pass.
From whence they came. That's right, Jimbo Slides. From whence. So, hence and where mixed together. Whence.
How about the problems in our nation's big cities? Cities that one of them that I used to love. I've never been to Chicago, so I can't ever talk about. I
love Chicago. So I still have to believe there's redeeming qualities in Chicago if you stay out of the wrong parts of town.
I'm sure. July 4th weekend, 80 Americans shot, 17 killed in Chicago. 64 shot in New York City, 10 were killed. 31 shot in Philadelphia, 7 killed. 28 shot in Atlanta, 4 were killed.
Let me tell you what's different about that than Texas. In Texas, if 80 people are shot, 65 of them people are dead. I don't understand how 80 people get shot and only 17 died in Chicago. There were some bad shots. That's like somebody running. They're like running and shooting backwards. Pow, pow. They ain't hitting much.
Well, Chicago's probably a lot of drive-by shootings, as we hear every weekend. So probably New York, Atlanta, Philadelphia, I can't speak to, but I'm convinced New York and Atlanta are strictly a result of mayors kowtowing to Antifa, rioters, and the mob idiots in their calls for defunding police and for police basically being told to step back and just give up their city.
You have to love the fact.
You've got a bunch of idiots that have overtaken City Hall and have started their own chop chaz zone in New York City.
But you have to love the fact that somewhere there's an Antifa guy, Antifa, whatever those little punks are, who talks to his Marxist mentor. And they go, we want to go to Texas, man. We want to go to Texas. Let's go take over Texas. And the Marxist guy goes, let's wait on that for a while.
Yeah.
Let's wait before we go down there, because when we go down there, it's going to be on. And once Texas starts getting it on with all these idiots, it's going to embolden the rest of the country. And they know it. They know it.
That's why they haven't come.
That's why they haven't come down here, because Texans will be killing Marxists wholesale. By Marxists. It would happen quick down here, too. 80 shot, 78 dead. Really? It wasn't 80 shots. It was 80 people got shot. Some of them 4 or 5 times. They did.
Governor Georgia is sending in 1,000 National Guard troops into Atlanta because the mayor can't get it under control. Here's the problem I have in Atlanta.
What did she say? Tell them what she said. This isn't the cops shooting up our city. This is our communities shooting up their communities. Well, that means these are dumb people shooting up their own neighborhood.
You didn't make a statement like that when these dumb community members decided to take over the Wendy's with Rayshard Brooks, who attacked 2 police officers while being peacefully arrested for DWI because he passed out in his car, led to this. Yeah. You allowed your city to fall into the quagmire that it is.
Purely for political gain. Purely for political gain.
You fired the 2 police officers before they had their day in court.
Should have backed the blue. You should have stood by your police officers until every opportunity had been exhausted for them to be deemed correct.
Because this wasn't a George Floyd situation in Atlanta.
No. This was a guy who, I simply said it when I saw the video, put it on Twitter. Hey, this guy deserved to die. You're beating up cops, taking weapons, shooting over your shoulder at them. You know what? We're not going to let you run through the streets of our city like that carrying a taser. We're going to go ahead and put you down. Sorry. By the way,
a guy who was released from prison due to COVID concerns after being there for beating up his family members. I think a small child was involved. If the masks work, why didn't we just send masks into the prison instead of letting people out?
Absolutely. Oh, by the way, it just so happened that this gentleman was black. Okay. If this was a white dude in Atlanta at a Wendy's who passed out in his car, nobody would have cared. But because he was black, we're all getting a new TV. We're meeting at Best Buy. We're rioting and looting.
You've got a bunch of people that overtook a street. A mom is just trying to get home the other night at 10 o'clock with her 8-year-old daughter in the car. They wouldn't let her by. She tried to force her way down the street to get to her home. They shot the vehicle, killed the 8-year-old girl. That's when the mayor gets mad.
I don't even know what color these people were.
This has got me fired up.
Yep.
It took the death of an 8-year-old girl for the mayor of Atlanta to finally get mad enough to restore law and order and say enough is enough. Because the rule of law and order in this country wasn't enough to prevent that death in the first place.
Right. And the mayor of Atlanta is charged with preserving the rule of law. Not saying this anger is understandable. These people are very distraught. This is okay. Just let them go wherever let them riot and loot, and let's let them express their feelings.
Tell that to the family of this 8-year-old girl who's now dead because you as a mayor failed to take charge of your city and allowed anarchy and idiots to run and rule your streets.
Absolutely. Jeff Fonseca says, hey, just run them over. I'm going to tell you, I don't know what I would do. See, I really like my car.
Well, I think that's what she tried to do, and then they started shooting up her vehicle.
I think you'd see the people like on the sidelines who aren't telling their friends, you better get out of the way. This guy looks crazy. This old white man's crazy. Because then they'd have their iPhones, and they'd be videoing, and they'd all be around my car, and then all of a sudden you'd see, pap, 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 and then I'd go boom, 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 as I ran over those two I shot in front of the car, and then I'd go bye, and I'd drive straight to the police station. I'd unload my weapon. I'd walk in. I'd hand it to the officer and say, "I just had to kill a couple of fools back there. You might want to get an ambulance out there. I think one of them's still kicking." That's where I'm at with this. And people in the South, people in Texas are tired of the potential to feel threatened. I applaud those people that had enough sensibility. They weren't smart enough not to do their protest, but they were smart enough not to cause any trouble. Walked down, it got kind of hot, cut a choky left over there by CVS. Whew, let's get back, and maybe we all go to Dairy Treat and have a Sherwood. It's way too hot to be protesting.
No, I'll say that Victoria has been spared the idiocy.
Yeah, well, except that Victoria felt like everybody else is being an idiot, so we got to be an idiot too to show that we care enough to be an idiot. We got to do it too. Let's have Is there a statue somewhere we can tear down? Let's tear it down because it just makes perfect sense. Everybody else is doing it.
At least we didn't get to that point. At least we tried to. I'll say this. At least they tried to go through the democratic process to do it.
Yeah.
Petition your government leaders, and they didn't just throw a rope around it and yank it down.
But you know what they did to me? They made me apathetic. They made me apathetic about it. You and I even agreed. We talked about it. It's demagoguery. Just take the statue down. Who cares? That's it. What they're trying to do, the Marxists, make no mistake, these are not Black Lives Matter people. These are not people that are worried about George Floyd. These are Marxists trying to destroy our capitalistic system of government. They're trying to destroy the rule of law. They're trying to undermine every elected official. Some of them are white. Some of them are educated. Some of them are attorneys.
I'm convinced this election in November is key for the preservation of Western civilization.
I believe that.
And the ideals of America.
I'm telling you that if Joe blow with the wind Biden gets elected.
Did you hear him the other day? I'm Joe. How did he introduce himself the other day?
He doesn't.
I'm Joe Biden. I'm Joe Biden's husband, Joe Biden.
Right. I'm telling you, folks, that guy has lost his marbles. It's bad enough that when he had his marbles, he was a complete dunce. I mean, go back
and borderline racist, and borderline segregationist, and borderline this, borderline that.
Over his 43 years in Washington, some of them as assistant swamp master. That guy has had opportunities. He has flip-flopped on so many. I guarantee you he's been pro-NRA, anti-NRA. I guarantee you he's been pro-right to choose. He's been pro-life. I guarantee you he's gone back and forth, blowing with the winds of change to make sure he stays at the forefront. That guy stands for nothing.
I'm sure it's asked if we're ready for the debates.
What do we want to debate about? Who do we want to debate with?
No, I think he's saying Biden and Trump, which I don't think there will be one.
Well,
although, you know what? If Kanye is running, you almost have to have a 3-person debate now.
Yes. The Democrats do not want to debate because President Trump will undress Joe so badly. It would be so humiliating.
Which Joe? We have 2 Joes running for president now. You have Joe Jorgensen running for the Libertarian Party.
Joe Jorgensen. Was he a backup quarterback?
Oh, no, that was Sonny.
Oh, no. She has no chance. Probably shouldn't even be in the debate. I'm just telling you. If
has some good ideas, I'll say that.
They always do. I mean, the Libertarians always have good ideas. They usually come a little closer to following the constitutional intent.
Here's where the Libertarians screwed up this time around, and it might have gained some traction. They discounted the guy from Michigan who I think was a Democrat when became a Republican, then bailed on Republicans to become a Libertarian. Or maybe he wasn't a Democrat to begin with. He switched parties and said, I'm done. Became a Libertarian. They bailed on him. When she chose as her running mate a guy that was basically giving the national political equivalent of no homework and longer recess as part of his platform and running for the leaders to be the nominee for president of the Libertarian Party.
Right.
You lost your credibility with a lot of people that might have taken Joe Jorgensen seriously because she actually has some fairly good ideas.
Yeah. You told me that the running mate was kind of a lame.
Yeah.
Well, I just think that if Trump had an opportunity to discuss issues with Biden, it wouldn't be that Trump's ideas were so good. What would be exposed?
Biden wouldn't understand.
Biden couldn't complete a sentence. I'm telling you that if Joe Biden called this show, I could convince Joe Biden that it was 1988 and he was trying to run against George H.W. Bush. I could.
But I agree with Adam that the debates would be hilarious. The unintended comedy factor would be off the scale in those debates.
Adam Sugar, the humor here is not lost on me because it wasn't intended to be. Brent, she's a PhD, hell of an option. It is sad, Adam, that in this day and age that honestly, and we're going to get to Trump's tweet here in a minute, that Donald Trump can be, by any stretch, by any definition, he's a buffoon. Donald Trump is a buffoon, folks. He's just glaringly better or less idiotic than every other option. Donald Trump, and Ash may have the exact tweet. I wish you would read it.
Let's get to it after our last break. I'll dig it up and you start the break. I'll find the tweet.
So you want me to, once again, okay, folks, once again, Carter's going to carry the show while Ash does his homework. Oh, today's a great day for you to call Gray Barn Design. Cheryl Wallachow, the breadwinner at Ash's home.
The brains and the beauty.
920-6803. She'll make your next event eventful. You can't spell eventful with that event.
No.
Or something like that. But you can have an uneventful event. We've seen those.
And only one L.
Get a hold of her. Next time, she learns with every time she does one, she learns something. Next time, she's not going to have Ash carry the flowers. He had a black eye and a work comp claim. 920-6803. Gray Barn Design will simply make your next event one that you'll enjoy going to and hosting rather than planning and decorating and tearing down and all that garbage. Call Cheryl at 920-6803. Uncle Mutt's Barbecue. Brisket, ribs, sausage, chicken. We tell you every day, turkey. Don't let it go in one ear and out the other. Drive through there today. Take dinner home to your family from Uncle Mutt's Barbecue. It's becoming a delicacy.
You could stop there every day and never eat the same thing.
That's exactly right. For the rest of your life.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Combinations.
Go by there and get it.
And then you throw drink combinations in that mix. You'd never have the same meal ever again.
Yep. And then I have a surprise for Ash and Wint. Let me tell you first about Wint Services, Wint Electrical, Wint Generators. Solar panels, battery backups to the solar panels. Now you can store that energy. It used to be that your meter ran slower.
Should I be worried?
No. When you had the sun out, your meter ran slower. Now you're storing that into a battery. You can run an air conditioner, a refrigerator, some lights at night on that. Save money on your electric bill. It's generator season. Storm season's upon us. Wint is your one-stop shop, whether you need something. Oh, I just want to make sure my air conditioner works and my lights. You may be like me. I want my freezer. I don't want to lose all the meat that's in the freezer. I want my air conditioner to work. I need to be able to have lights and everything else.
I need the beer fridge, the wine fridge.
I've got to have the wine fridge on. They've got a generator for that. Kohler,
Generac,
Briggs and Stratton. It goes on and on and on.
Probably a list of 7 or 8 you can choose from.
Everything you need. If you read of one, they can get it. The key there is perfect installation. They'll wire it right into your grid. You'll be the off-the-grid kid. You'll be glad you got them. Reach out to Wint Services. My surprise for Ash today is, and this has happened before, Wint was with us for a while, decided to kind of take a break from advertising, turned around and said, you know what? Might make sense to come back. We were doing pretty good with Wade and Carter. Proud today to tell you that USA Foundation Repair, our buddy Charlie Garcia, the singing cowboy, is coming back.
Nice.
And Charlie's got a new division. He'll still level your house, 578 Home. You got 578 Home. Charlie will send his crew out, Diego and the guys. They'll come out and they'll straighten up your house. That's not the big point. What they're doing now also is going to the next level with a state-of-the-art, not epoxy, but a polyurethane. I'm going to get more details for you. I'm going to drop the real words on you. It's a hydrochloroquine. I'm going to get hydroxy. I'm going to get that for you. I'm going to get that. They've got a new coating for your garage floor.
Or any other concrete
surface that is, quote, Charlie, more durable than epoxy. That's hard to imagine. But Charlie's the guy. If he tells you he's going to do it, he's going to do it right. And he said, hey, I want to start advertising with you guys again, and I want to tell your great listeners about our new foray into service.
What's the name of that foray?
I don't know. USA Concrete Coatings. That's what we're going to call it. USA Concrete Coatings and our buddy Charlie Garcia. You can reach them all at 578-HOME. How about that?
Nice. Joe Davenport checking in.
Do we have a bell? Cha-ching. Ring a bell. Ding, 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 ding.
Could have used one.
Right? That'll be in our Wednesday.
Lisa Poole says she's convinced Biden's camp has got him some dementia meds.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And they're keeping him out of the public eye. I mean, if you don't see that, the man is running for president as the only representative of the only other real party. Why is he out there? Can you imagine, for example, if what's that guy's name from that kid from El Paso that was a senator? He's an idiot. The pothead looks like one of the Kennedys.
Oh, Beto?
Yeah. If Beto,
he wasn't a senator. I think he wasn't he a rep?
Yeah, whatever. You know, he
tried to be a senator.
He's the Irish Hispanic Beto O'Rourke, Francis O'Rourke. If that clown was running for president, you don't think he'd be in the news every single day? I'm Beto O'Rourke, and I'm coming for your guns. I'm here for the people. You don't think he'd be out there every single day? When was the last time you heard from Joe Biden?
Over the July 4th weekend when he introduced himself as his own husband.
That guy is a done deal.
Steve Kidder says there are 2 debates agreed to. Biden refuses to do a third. I don't think he'll show up for either one of them. I'll be honest.
I think he's going to say the COVID concerns that kept me from getting in a mass situation like that. Or he'll do it on Zoom, and it'll be like a parody of himself.
Kirsten Snell checking into the show. Good morning. I think Joe Davenport is in.
How do you know Kristen Snell?
I went to high school.
Canuck.
Yeah, another Canuck.
Because those names are always just kind of like out on the fringe. Where's Smith and Jones? Who are the Smith and Jones of Canada? Are there Smiths and Jones in Canada?
Yeah, they're
Williams.
Usually, yeah, there's a few Williams.
Hernandez.
Didn't know too many Hernandezes. No, didn't know any Hernandezes growing up, I don't think. I knew a Fernandez.
It's cold.
I knew a Suez.
Suez? That's a canal, isn't it?
No, Saguez. But he was from, I believe he was from Guatemala.
I would have called him Segway.
We called him Suez because we didn't know any different.
Right? I knew a guy in Harlingen. His last name was Perez, Perez. But he grew up in Tennessee. And his name was Joe. He was a pastor. He was the chaplain at a large hospital. And he introduced himself as Joe Perez to everybody. And, you know, you've got a 90% Hispanic population. They're like, it's Perez. It's Perez. Get your name right. You're killing us. You have a large voice. You're calling yourself Perez. But that's what he thought he was, Joe Perez, because he was just from Tennessee. He'd never been around. He finally embraced it, fell in love with, really loved the culture, as did I. Loved the culture down there.
Didn't know any different.
I mean, what do you have for lunch? Mexican food? What else is there? You go to Whataburger, they give you 2 jalapenos on the side and a flour tortilla. It's just what you're going to have. It's the culture. It's beautiful. La Raza. It's my family, mi familia down there.
There's my cousin Jeremy checking in. The Smiths, the Joneses in Canada, they usually have a ski on the end of their name. Ukrainian.
Smith
or Polish.
Right. Sorry.
Yeah. So here's the tweet that
there's one of your brothers.
Cousin, Jeremy.
Cousin.
Yeah. So here's the tweet that Donald Trump, the president, sent out yesterday.
This is sad, folks.
Why 2 weeks later are you even getting into this?
Yeah, help me understand why you think he would do this.
Has at Bubba Wallace apologized to all those great NASCAR drivers and officials who came to his aid, stood by his side, and were willing to sacrifice everything for him, only to find out the whole thing was just another hoax, all caps. That and flag decision has cost lowest ratings ever.
So here's what Trump is.
It's a swipe at Bubba and a swipe at NASCAR.
So NASCAR decided about a month ago, no more no more Confederate flags at their events. You know, folks, I mean, I'm conservative. I'm all about freedom of speech. It was time to get rid of the Confederate flag at the NASCAR event because NASCAR is trying to extend their audience. NASCAR it's purely dollars. It's not social justice. NASCAR doesn't want to be looked at as a regional redneck sport.
Racist.
They don't want to be looked at that way anymore. They want to reach out to folks in California. They want folks in California to like NASCAR. So it makes sense to get rid of the Confederate flag. It made perfect business sense to me, and I applauded them for the move. We did it here. Like, wow, didn't even know that was still a thing. Good for them for taking a stance. Along comes Bubba Watson.
Wallace.
Whatever. Bubba Watson's left-handed golfer. Bubba Wallace is a right-handed driver. My bet. Who turns left?
Turns left.
Bubba Wallace
is only a one-road course a year.
We called it from day one. I know this is too soon. I know we're going to be labeled, racist. Is it possible this thing was all made up? We did say it early in this debate, but we never questioned and still don't whether Bubba Wallace was involved in the hoax or, as I recall, Bubba Wallace never said, this is an outrage. I'm a black man. I can't believe I'm being treated this way.
I don't even think he saw it. He wasn't the one that made the report, right?
People were outraged on his behalf. People brought things to the forefront that turned out to be incorrect. Well, that news has been there since 2019. We've used that garage ourselves, said the Wood brothers. Bubba Wallace, all he ever said was, this situation gave the NASCAR family the opportunity to show a solidarity that I see every day. I never feel different just because I happen to be black. I thought he was entirely gracious, entirely inclusive. He turned the whole thing into a positive.
As did NASCAR.
So why would Donald Trump say, has Bubba Wallace apologized yet? Because I'm going to tell you, I got to tell you.
What does he have to apologize for?
If you think Bubba Wallace needs to apologize, you might be a little bit racist. He didn't do anything. He's not the one that said, look, a noose. They're trying to lynch me. He did not do that. I didn't even know the guy was black. I didn't even know who Bubba Wallace was. I still thought Dale Earnhardt Jr. was racing. I didn't know he quit. I thought that the number 24 Chevy DuPont Monte Carlo, I thought he was still doing good. I didn't know the guy was 50 and in the booth.
No, I'm not a NASCAR fan.
I'm not a NASCAR fan. But I've become a little bit more of one since they said, hey, look, let's clean up our image and let's all stand behind Bubba Wallace. I like that. So why would Trump say something divisive? Because that's a divisive comment.
And idiotic.
Is he trying to support those rednecks that go vote? And if he is he a white supremacist? I don't know. People say we're conservative. People say that we're, pro-Trump. I can be on a number of things. NAFTA, NATO, foreign policy, China. I'm very pro-Trump. But when Trump has a tweet in his hand,
could be a little tougher on
Russia. Could be a little tougher on China and Russia. Careful. It's so lightly veiled when you try to put down the Russians. We know your loyalties. The thing that offends me, though, is that Trump can just say the dumbest stuff that is of no consequence. Is he that arrogant, or is he just like bored at night? Like Melania's, we didn't even talk about yesterday about how the left gets so backwards. Melania Trump was wearing a dress that I thought it looked kind of weird, but anything she wears looks pretty good. And somebody
can wear a potato sack and make it look.
Yes. Somebody went on
haute couture.
Very good. Thank you. Went on social media and said, look at Melania, who dressed her.
I mispronounced that, but anyway.
She looked terrible. She looked stupid, blah, blah, blah.
What the hell is she wearing? It's got a bunch of scribbles on it.
You know what it was, folks? It was a dress designed by a famous designer. I didn't know, but the fact that they mentioned his name, he was a famous guy.
So famous, we didn't know him.
And what he did, it wasn't Yves Saint Laurent, but it was like, Joe Smith, who's a serious designer. Well, he had taken the drawings that little children like at Hope, Child Advocacy, the little drawings that the little kids had used to describe
Their
ways
abuse.
that they had been abused. And that man made material out of those drawings, assemblages of those drawings. And he made a dress out of that for Melania to wear to honor those children and to raise awareness of childhood abuse. And the left made fun of her. Now you stop and think about that. The inclusive left.
A whole story that the narrative that could have been started from the beginning.
Yeah, was
Of
wasted.
why the dress. You don't get to that until after the fact that you have to clarify what it is.
Yeah.
Because the left and the media is so quick to hate. You want to talk about hate? There's the hatred in this country.
The most
For
tolerant,
Trump?
the most hateful.
And the first lady, just because of who they are and the position they are in. No other reason. And they beat the one that they thought should have been rightly anointed as president.
Right.
The only reason. The only reason.
Frau Hillary. I thought it was a noble gesture of hers to do that.
On Independence Day.
And
Martina McBride sang a song about it.
just tragic stuff. So
Yeah.
anyway,
But why with
Lisa Pearl
everything
says that
going,
dress was awesome. Thank you, Lisa. I agree.
why with everything going on in this country though, why does he waste time with a tweet like that to Bubba Wallace? Question to think about for the rest of the day.
Yeah, you guys have a great day. Hang in there. Please make a note that we're not always just blindly pro-Trump. We try to call it as we see it, and most of the time we see it the same way, which means most of the time we're probably right.
Must be.
Y'all have a great